We are live. What's up, my friend? Abby here. Welcome to another Write With Me live stream. This is our fourth and final live stream of the month of NaNoWriMo 2023. I can't believe we're really close to the end. Tomorrow is the last day of NaNoWriMo. So hopefully you all are excited to write today. I'm looking forward to getting into my project, and I hope you're looking forward to it as well. First things first, type in the chat. Tell me if you can see me and hear me okay. Make sure that my mic and camera are working well. And tell me where you're tuning in from. So we always have writers from all over the world joining us on these live streams, which is so cool. Literally the coolest thing ever. So tell me where you're tuning in from and what you're working on today. I'd love to hear about your project. Are you participating in NaNoWriMo? And if so, have you met your goals yet? Everyone has a different goal. Everyone has a different personal challenge that they're putting themselves to through NaNoWriMo. So it doesn't matter if you've hit the 50,000 words, or maybe your goal is just to write every day. Whatever your goal was, type in the chat and let me know how it's going. Okay, let's see. Everyone can see me? Awesome. Let's see. Wow, awesome. Writers from all over the world tuning in right now. Tennessee, Ohio, Italy, Boston, Wisconsin, England. Awesome. Brazil, Florida. So cool. Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you're here. So if this is your first time joining a Write With Me live stream, the way these are structured is we do 4 writing sprints total, 25 minutes on, 5-minute breaks in between. During those breaks, we chat about our stories. I answer questions that pop up in the chat, and then we get back into our next writing sprint. So the point is just kind of some nice accountability and community together as we all sit here together and work on our respective projects. So if that's something you're into, you're in the right place. I'm so glad you're able to join us, and I'm really excited to get started today. I'm going to be working on some character development, character building, which is one of my favorite parts of the process. And I think it's going to be fun. So developing some characters, filling out some character profiles, developing some backstory, all that juicy good stuff. So that's what I'm working on today. And I am looking forward to jumping into my project. So if you are ready to go, I'm going to set my timers and we're going to get into our first writing sprint. So 25 minutes. And also, I'm going to be running sprints in the Discord. So if you are part of the Discord community, you can join over there as well. If you're not part of the Discord community, you can join by joining my Patreon at any level, and the link to that is in the description box below this video. Hopefully you have a nice cup of tea or something yummy to drink as you write today. Okay, just trying to start my Discord here. Okay, writing sprints. Let's get this started. So feel free to join in Discord if you're over there. If you haven't joined Discord and you like doing these writing sprints with the community, I would definitely recommend checking it out with the Patreon link below because you'll probably love it. Okay, let's get started. Who's ready to write? I feel like my camera's a little bit tilted that way. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and start our timers here. Feel free to set your own timer or follow mine, and good luck. by really fast. Type in the chat, tell me how it went. Hopefully your first sprint was a good one. I'm still sort of getting oriented in my project here. I got a little bit sidetracked writing something else. I'm supposed to be developing characters. I told myself I would do that. So we're going to work on that next. Okay, so if you're just hopping on, don't worry, you haven't missed much. You only missed one sprint. We are going to do 3 more, so stick around. First, we're going to take a quick break, and I'm going to answer a few questions that come in on the chat. So it looks like you all had a wonderful sprint, wrote a lot of words. Yay! I don't actually know how many words I wrote because I was bouncing around between different chapters. But yes, I'm going to try to work on some more development as we go into our next sprint. Okay, so let's answer a few questions and then continue writing. Actually, I didn't put my word count in the Discord because I don't know how many words I wrote, so we'll just leave that there for now. Okay, let's see. Lana asks, how do you manage to make dialogue sound authentic in relation to the age of the characters? For example, youth slang without sounding too forced. Okay, so my favorite way to like really sink into a character's dialogue, especially with something that's like dialogue that you personally don't relate to a lot, like it's a character who sounds quite different from you, is watching like real people, listening to real people talk can be really helpful, whether that is watching YouTube videos or watching any kind of informative video, honestly, like anything that's real life, and or like reality TV shows. I say real life and real people because sometimes writing in TV shows and movies can be inaccurate. You know, the dialogue can sound like very forced, like you're saying. So listening to real people talk who are either in your age group or remind you of your character can be super, super helpful for getting that dialogue stuck in your head, sort of like a song is how I like to think of it. And then it's just there. It's there in the back of your mind when you go to write your character. You're like sort of filtering it through what you've just been listening to. And I would recommend doing that more than like looking up, you know, slang words that kids use and trying to pepper those into your dialogue. You can do some of that if you naturally pick it up through speakers who naturally use those words. Let's see. Yuki asks, how do you manage your other daily works while managing to write consistently every day? It's hard for me to find time to write since I often have writer's block too. Yeah, it's definitely difficult. It's definitely a challenge. I would say the thing that really helps me is finding a non-negotiable block of time that I can dedicate to my writing. For me personally, that is first thing in the morning. As soon as I wake up, the first like 2 to 3 hours of my day, I try to make sure that is non-negotiable creative writing time, or any kind of creative development time, even if I'm outlining or building characters. And that works for me in my schedule. Everyone's schedule will be different, but I would say even if you can't get several hours, even if you just get 20 minutes or 30 minutes per day, dedicate that non-negotiable block of time to your creativity, and you'll find that you end up being more creative because you're making it a constant practice. You're strengthening the muscle of creativity, right? You're not just like going days and days without it, and then once you arrive at the time when you can finally write, you're like, I got nothing because I'm so burnt out because I've been working so much and doing so little of what I love. So make time every day, I would say, even if it's just a little bit of time to work on your creativity, and you'll find that you're more creative when you go to show up for it. Okay, Bluebirdie asks, I'm trying to write a story with 4 protagonists. What are some tips on multiple protagonists? Good question. Okay, so for multiple protagonists, I mean, there's a lot going on there. You have multiple stories kind of interweaving with each other. I would say make sure they are all having something in common that's bringing them all together. So you probably already have that with your plot. They're probably all on a similar adventure together. They're probably all sort of thrown into the mix together. But that central force of gravity, so to speak, that brings them together is so important, because that is what makes your story feel put together. And there's like a trajectory to it. There's a goal. There's a main mission to be accomplished. It's not just these disjointed parts and we're looking at all these different characters and like, who are we supposed to care about? If there's a central conflict that sort of brings them all together, that would be my number one tip, to focus on that. And then secondly, and of course this is just as important, to focus on developing their internal conflict, each one of them, so that they have a different reason for being part of the story. They're not just here because the plot needs them to be, they're here because they need to be. They actually have a personal stake in this. So that would be my advice for that. I did a live training a while ago about writing side characters and subplots, and I talk about writing a large cast of characters in that training. I would definitely recommend checking that out. You can find that on my Patreon on the live training pass level. Link below. Okay, let's get our timers back up. Go into our second sprint. We've been talking for a few minutes here. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and set up the Discord again for another sprint. Maybe I'll actually get to clock my words this time. Okay, let's get into it. Great job, guys. Sprint number 2 finished. Amazing work. Hopefully you had a lovely, fun sprint and wrote a lot of words. I am making some progress here on my book. And let's see, I was bouncing around again between different chapters, but I think I wrote about 300 words that time. So finally I have something to contribute to the Discord. I can remember to add it. Okay, you guys are doing amazing. Awesome. So many words being written. You should be so proud of yourself. Awesome. We're going to take a quick break. I'll answer a few more questions, and then we'll get into sprint number 2 and continue with this flow of creativity. Okay, let's see. Fang asks, when writing physical descriptions, how do you know what details to prioritize? For example, as a conversation goes on, how do you balance pacing and physical descriptions of characters? Very good question. I would say anything that moves the action forward is a good way to look at physical descriptions, especially in the midst of a conversation. So body language and things that can sort of express what the characters are feeling, what their emotional responses are, some of their personality, even some of their deeper conflicts and beliefs. If you can bring that into their physical descriptions, that is going to be way more interesting and way more important for the reader to know than like their eye color or their hair color, something like that. That's very surface level. But you can have that, of course. You can have those physical descriptions, but finding ways to bring them into the character's body language. For instance, maybe when this character is nervous, they are constantly like fiddling with their hair. Okay, so we could include a hair color description in the action of them fidgeting with their hair, but through that action tag, we're not just seeing the hair color, we're seeing their behavior. So I would say things like that are going to move the action forward and not hit pause on the story for too long to describe a character. But I also talked about this in a video a while ago and in a podcast. Me and Kate did a podcast on improving your descriptions. It's called Write Better Descriptions. And if you search up YouTube for that, you'll find it. Kate and Abby show, Write Better Descriptions, and we give lots of examples in that I think you'll find helpful. Let's see. Hippo Plays asked a similar question. What are some tips to balance dialogue, description, and action? I feel like my chapters consist entirely of one of the three. Again, check out that podcast because we give some good side-by-side examples of like bad example versus good example and how it all works together. But yes, it's a balance. Absolutely. Let's see. Odd Ray asks, I am writing a book with 3 main characters, but they sometimes overshadow one another. What should I do to make it obvious that they're all still present in the story? I would say find ways for these characters, for all 3 of these characters to have conflicts, personal conflicts and personal relationships with each other. So if it's all 3 of them are engaged in a central conflict, they all know each other. That would be like step 1 to that. If it feels like too disjointed, like they don't even know each other, they don't even speak to each other, it might be a little bit more difficult to find that central conflict. But I would say find a central conflict that brings them all together. And if they do have a relationship with all 3 of each other, find the nuances of what are those relationships between them? What are the points of conflict? What do they like or dislike about each other? And kind of weave in those opinions and preferences and thoughts into their internal dialogue. How are their decisions based on conflicts that they're having with each of these other characters, right? So all of our choices in life a lot of times are based on our beliefs and also our relationships with others. We think about how our next decision will impact other people in our lives. So bringing these other characters into that decision-making process is going to make that point of view character feel more like they aren't overshadowing the other characters. The other characters have a personal stake in their decisions as well. So they're all connected with each other, if that makes sense. Hopefully that helps. Okay, one more question before we get into our next sprint. Oh, Leah asks, are you having Otherworld giveaway for Christmas? Any signed ones? Yes. I meant to say that at the beginning of this live stream, but I forgot. Stay tuned because there is going to be, not on this live stream, but several days from now, soon, very soon, I'm going to be releasing a new line of special edition copies of The Otherworld. They're going to be signed copies, and I hope that they will be shipped to you all in time for Christmas, but they will be available soon on my website. So keep an eye out for the announcement for that. I'm also going to be doing a special Otherworld giveaway on my Instagram and my other social channels. So keep an eye out for that as well. But yes, if you follow me here on YouTube, you will hear about it. So make sure you're subscribed, and that's coming soon, within the week. Okay, let's reset our timers. I'm so excited to share the limited edition copies of The Otherworld with you guys. They're so beautiful. Okay, let's get into our next sprint. I forgot to set the Discord. Sprint number 3 is finished. Wonderful job, guys. Type in the chat, tell me how it went. Hopefully you got some more words written. One more break, and then our final sprint, and that will be the writing session. You guys are doing so good. Thank you all for staying on with me, keeping me company, writing with me. It's so awesome to see you all here. If you are just hopping on, we have one more sprint left to do, 25 minutes. So we're going to take a quick break and get into that next. Okay, looks like you guys have been writing a lot. Awesome. Fantastic. It did go fast. These sprints just fly by so quickly. Time flies when you're writing. Okay, so I'm going to answer a few questions and then we'll get to our next one. Let's see. Rayanne Andrews asks, hey, Abby, I'm about to finish my first draft. Do you have any advice for how to go about the editing process? So I have lots of thoughts on editing. I actually did a whole live training on it, and I made a whole masterclass on editing as well. You can find those resources in my Patreon link below. But I also have a lot of videos on editing on my channel. The first thing I like to do when I finish a book is set it aside for a few months, if possible, just to kind of have that decompression time where you can forget about it a little bit, forget about the details of it, and then I go into my revisions process. So the revisions stage of things is more about any sort of developmental things to change in the story. I am changing some of the writing, the sentence structure, but the copy editing, line editing, that sort of thing is kind of going to be further down the road, because first I want to make sure that the story is really strong. So revisions is all about making sure the character arcs are really strong and that the plot is as strong as it can be and that you care about the characters. I mean, that's what matters the most. So check out my video on revisions. That's on my channel. I think that will help you a lot because that's my first step after the completion of the first draft. Hannah Woods asks, any tips on smooth scene transitions, specifically when it has to be in the same chapter? This is a really good question. Scene transitions can be tricky to get the hang of. Of course, it's a stylistic thing, so it all depends on like how you personally like to write transitions. I like to write transitions in a way that are like one scene sort of inadvertently topples into the next one, like sort of a domino effect. So even if there's some time that went by in between, even if you have a time break, you have sort of this effortless, like seamless flow into the next scene, because maybe in the previous scene, the characters were talking about doing something or going somewhere, talking about an event that's going to take place in the future, and then you're cutting to that event. You don't need the in-between stuff if it's just filler, nothing's happening. This is one of my pet peeves when I'm reading a book and it's just like a lot of stuff to transition to the next event and the plot, and all the stuff that happens in that transition period is meaningless. Like, it's just filler, it's fluff, it's nothing important is happening. It's just like the character going through boring motions to get to the next place. You don't have to write that. You can literally cut through all of that and just topple the next domino. What's the next important thing? What's the next thing that is going to matter to the story? What are you going to actually enjoy writing? You know, what's going to be the next fun thing for you to write? So I know I kind of rambled on that answer to that one, but transitions are something that take a lot of practice for sure. Aurora Rose asks, what is a quick way to get beta readers, if there is any? Thanks for doing this, Abby. The best way to get beta readers, in my opinion, is like with people that you already know and trust. So I would say look around you, see if there's anybody in your sphere that you already trust, you're friends with them, you respect their opinions, you know that they want the best for you. They want to see you succeed. They understand your mission with this story. And those people might not even be writers. So it doesn't have to, they don't have to fit the criteria of being a writer. They can be just a reader, a person who maybe would pick up your book at a bookstore. A lot of times people who aren't writers can give us interesting insight that writers can't give us. So that's another thing to think about. And also writing communities. Of course, writers are going to give you some good advice if you are good friends with them and they understand your mission with the story. So look to writing communities such as this one, if you're in the Discord, or if you are just here on my YouTube channel. Reach out to some people, make new connections, make new friendships, and see where those friendships take you. But I would say make sure that it's always somebody that you trust and respect their opinion, and you know that they want to see you succeed. Even if their advice is a little bit brutally honest sometimes. Sometimes we need that. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Super chat just came in. Thank you so much. From Dark Solid X. Hey Abby, when should I copyright in my writing? Still new at this stuff. You should copyright your writing before you publish it, when it is in the final stage of what you're going to publish, okay? Because if you copyright a rough draft of your book, and then you do a lot of changes to it and then you publish it, it is no longer reflecting the original that you copyrighted. So you want to make sure that the one that you're publishing is as close as possible to the version that you copyrighted. That's why I recommend doing it right before you publish. So that would be after edits are complete, even after proofread is complete. And of course, that some writers can feel nervous about that because you feel like maybe I should copyright my work before I share it with anybody, like a beta reader or an editor. I would recommend finding a really trustworthy beta reader and editor so that you don't feel afraid to share your work with them. Make sure that they have a good repertoire, that they have a good history of working with other writers. Maybe take a recommendation from writers that you already trust and know for those things and those services. So hopefully that helps. I have a video on copywriting on my YouTube channel that you can check out. Okay, let's get into our fourth and final writing sprint. Let's finish strong, guys. Our last sprint. That is our timer for sprint number 4. Fantastic job, guys. You made it. Congratulations. You should be super proud of yourself for staying with me this whole session and getting so much writing done. Type in the chat, tell me how it went, tell me how your final sprint went, and how your session went as a whole. This was a good session for me. I made a lot of progress on this book, which I'm really excited to share with you guys someday. Lots more to get through on it, but it's going to be great. So really happy with the progress I made, and did some rewriting, did some writing from scratch, did some reorganizing of ideas. And yeah, all progress is good progress. That's a really important thing to remember. So thank you for showing up today and making progress with me. If you like doing these writing sprints and love the community aspect of chatting with other writers and hanging out here together, then I definitely would recommend that you check out the Discord community. You can join that by joining my Patreon at any level. So the link to my Patreon is below in the description box. And when you join at any level, you get access to the Discord. You also get access to exclusive things like the private Facebook group and all my printables and templates and story writing tools, as well as live trainings. If you sign up with the live training pass level, you get access to monthly live trainings. Actually, I have a new one coming out this Sunday. Top secret, can't tell you what it's about, but wait for the video on that one. A video teaser is coming out tomorrow or the next day about that live training. So stay tuned for that. And I hope to see you guys over there. Thank you so much for joining me for this session. And I hope you had an amazing NaNoWriMo. I hope that this month has been inspired and creative, and that it will just be the foundation for a strong writing habit that you can then carry into the next month and the new year. So I hope to see you around more. Hit subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because we do writing sprints like this, writing sessions live every single month, and I'm posting writing videos every single Wednesday. So I hope to see you around here some more. Thank you again for joining me today, and as always, rock on.